Everyone, and welcome to our final virtual event, Play Streets 2020. Again, a collaboration between St. Paul and Gads Hill. Our last virtual event revolves around virtual learning with everything that's going on right now with the pandemic. And so what we did is we ended up visiting with two local principals here in the neighborhood, one of which was Ms. Corrigan over at St. Anne. And we also visited with the principal from Instituto Justice Leadership Academy, that a lot of people know as Rudy Lozano Alternative High School. So it was just interesting to see the different challenges. Obviously, there's some similar challenges, but there's different challenges because St. Anne's is an elementary school, K through 8th, and Rudy Lozano is a high school. So we sat down, talked with the principal, just talked about some tips for the parents at home, for the kids, when it comes to e-learning. And when we're at Rudy Lozano, we also got to meet two alumni students that are now working at the school part-time. It's very, very, very good young people. I appreciate what they're doing, and I appreciate the school for investing in them. So yeah, let's get into the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Today with Ms. Corrigan, the principal of St. Anne's School, and we're just going to discuss how it's been now that everybody's back in the swing of things at school, how everything's been like with the e-learning, and how just the challenges that they face as educators, and maybe talk about some tips to give to students and parents. So yeah, so let's just get into it. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys face doing e-learning? I know there's a lot of them, right? There's like memes made about them on social media. So obviously some are like really exaggerated, but some are very real. So you want to just talk a little bit about that?
I mean, just to talk off of that, I saw a funny video that a parent did that was, I think it was on TikTok actually, and they were asking for auditions for somebody to hire to read all of their school emails just to manage the emails that were coming from the schools. But certainly there are quite a few challenges, but one of the main ones is that, we are both in person. So we have students here in school as well as at home. And so our incredible teachers are doing two things at once. They're teaching to the students in the classroom while they're live streaming for our students at home. And I think when some people think of that, they think, oh, that's totally doable. You just turn on the camera, you just turn on the microphone, and you just teach, right? It's so much more complicated than that. Our teachers are preparing. They have to plan way further in advance than they're used to because they need to have the materials ready to go for parents to pick up so that our kids at home have them for that following week. So today is Friday. And our preschool through third grade parents are coming to pick up binders and papers and materials for math and writing and whatever that the teachers have prepared. And in order to prepare that, they already know exactly what they're teaching and what activities they're doing next week. And so the challenge in that is that as teachers, if something doesn't work, we kind of change it right away and we figure out a better way to do it. And we're not able to be as flexible. But also it just is a testament to like how incredible our teachers are. They're single-handedly, individually picking out books that they know that kids at home would like to read and putting them in these beautiful bags. And I can't say enough about the incredible work that they're doing. Right,
and there's really like no precedent to this, right? So it's kind of like you're figuring it out as you go and
we're all going through our first year of teaching all over again. I've been in education. This is my 13th year, and this is we're learning all new things.
Yeah, and just to be able to make that decision right away on the spot, is this working, is that not working, and then pivoting and readjusting. So yeah, man, so much props to you guys, your staff. And I know it's a challenge, and I've talked to other parents and they're like, oh, I'm going crazy. And I have a stepson that's in 8th grade that and pretty much for us it's been going smooth, but obviously he's older.
Right.
And pretty much just make sure, he has everything he needs, internet connection, and, he presses the button and he's on. But I know with the little ones, it's a lot more challenging. So could you speak on that, what the difference is between,
Sure.
Because you are K through 8. So the difference between like a first grader and an eighth grader, like what are the differences and the biggest challenges with the little ones?
Well, first of all, just the tech skills that they've had to acquire so quickly, and kids learn so fast. They've done a really great job, but you know, there are things that we as adults don't even think twice about, like how to minimize a screen, right? They're on one device and they need to be able to keep Zoom open while also maybe going to another website and know that Zoom didn't disappear, it's still on. And so I would say that those are skills that they haven't been explicitly taught yet. And it's really hard for us to teach them those skills remotely because they have to have a certain ability and technical skill just to even see us, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's being left a lot to the parents on helping their children through those technical skills. There's certainly some of that in the upper grades as well, but the kids have enough savvy, like they've been using technology enough at that level to be able to call their friends or to figure it out. So I think that's one main difference. The other thing is, you know, in first grade, and actually not even until really third grade, do we actually teach kids time. Right? So we teach them the clock and what half past an hour means. Yeah. And what is so important with remote learning right now? Time management. They have to know what 9:50 means in order to log on. Right. And that skill doesn't even come into play into what we teach in math until a little bit later. So as parents, setting timers or giving them visual stickers or showing students like, okay, when you see the clock, show this and show them the picture, that's when you need to log on. So I think one major tip I have for parents is that this is a really great opportunity for you to help your child understand time management and time. And certainly you're going to be there helping them, but as time goes on, handing over some of the independence and management for them is a skill that is going to come in handy later on and is so necessary right now.
Yeah, and in talking to other parents, I know it's been a big adjustment for them because sometimes their kids are more tech savvy than they are, so they've had to learn a lot recently. There was a parent that I was talking to that has like a 19-year-old daughter that's already like out of high school, working a part-time job, and so the daughter was kind of helping the older daughter was helping the parent set everything up, how to like turn in assignments, but there was a particular morning where the daughter had to go to work early. Yeah. So this parent was like freaking out, like, oh my, like I'm on my own today, and so it's been a big challenge for them as well to learn all this Zoom or whatever format they're using, and just to make sure the Wi-Fi is connected. So
I feel for parents. There's so much to manage, especially if you're working full time. You know, I can't imagine that right now, and the various different management that you have to have in the household to make sure that all these different schedules are followed, including your own for your own profession and job. So, you know, support groups, you know, looking into, I know there's a lot out there right now for remote learning parents. And I would encourage you to find that outlet to lament with other parents.
Right. And I know, trust me, there's no shame in it because I guarantee you 100% you're not alone. So don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm pretty sure there's somebody that might overcame some of the challenges you're facing, and they would probably love to share their story with you and try to help you out because they know exactly how you're feeling right now. So definitely reach out either to the school or to other parents, and just to get just know you're not alone out here, and there's other people going through the same thing as you. So yeah, most definitely.
And be kind to your teachers. Our parents have been so supportive. Oh, I'm so grateful for our parents, especially our remote learning parents, who have just been so supportive of our teachers, because I've heard some nightmarish stories, unfortunately, from other places. And, you know, they're doing the best that they can. And especially if you're in a situation where, I mean, not CPS isn't in this situation, but other Catholic schools are, where there's both in-person and remote learners, you know, that's a lot. So give your teacher grace, your child's teacher some grace. And maybe, if you're upset, or we're all dealing with so many different emotions and frustrations and stress in our own lives, maybe like wait a second before you send an email and make sure that it's coming from a good place.
Right.
And again, we've been so grateful and lucky to not experience that with our own St. Anne families. So that's just for other parents out there going through that.
Yeah, it kind of like comes to mind what I was told a while ago, just assume best intention always.
Right. Assume positive intentions.
Yeah, so,
we say that too.
So that's always something I go by, and these are definitely times where you need to abide by that. But in regards to you guys having the in-person students, right?
Yeah.
Could you just talk about a little bit like what are the precautions and what's the protocol that you guys take? Because I know I came in here last week during the evening time to shoot a small video in the gym, and there was a big cleaning crew here at night.
Yeah.
And they're like, who are you? I'm like, oh, I'm just here to film. And they had like spray
packs. Should have let them know, yeah.
They had like spray packs on their back. They were like doing a very thorough job. So you could just speak on what you guys do to make sure to keep everybody safe here.
Yeah. So many different protocols and procedures have been put in place, and we are finishing up our 6th week of in-person learning, and we wouldn't be able to be doing this without following those protocols and procedures. So we do temperature checks and ask about symptoms every morning for every student that comes in through the door. Teachers are doing the same thing of themselves, and any other visitor who isn't just visiting the office but is coming into the building. We also minimize our visitors in the building. The other thing we do is we have stickers throughout the building spacing 6 feet apart. We have limits on, how many students can be in the restroom at one time. We have a certain direction of all of our stairwells and signage with that, so we're always going in the same direction. Our desks in our classrooms are 6 feet apart. That's the most optimal. Some of them are a little bit closer together just based on how many students are in the classroom. The idea is 3 to 6. And those are the guidelines. So most of our students are pretty spaced apart, and when we eat, for example, they're eating in their classroom with their homeroom teacher, so the same group of students are together and they're not exposing anybody else. And if they can't be 6 feet apart, then those students are eating in the gym. And so we've really worked our lunch and recess schedule to make sure that we're taking safety precautions, and that whenever students have their masks off, they're 6 feet apart from one another and from their teacher.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So as you guys can see, there's a lot of work that goes into just providing the education that you guys are doing. And I'm pretty sure that all the parents are very appreciative. The community is appreciative what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And I think a lot of parents are more appreciative of the job that a teacher has to do, because they're getting a little taste of it. How you said, they have to actually become somewhat of a teacher at home. And like, again, much props to all the teachers, because I know this isn't what they signed up for, right? But they're pushing through it, and for the most part, they're doing a really, really good job. And me personally, like, I want to say thank you to you and your whole staff here at St. Anne's. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we're happy to be back. It's so good to be with kids. What we didn't sign up necessarily to take on a year quite like this, but we did sign up to teach students. And when we don't have them, when we're not in their presence, it's really hard for us emotionally and to feel connected and do our job. So we're grateful, I think, for the ability to safely return while also staying connected with our students at home and providing the best St. Anne education that we possibly can.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sitting down with us today.
Thanks for doing this interview. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to you guys.
All right. Well, thank you again. And great conversation. See you guys later. So how's it going, everyone? We're here at Instituto. What's the full name of the school? I know the school as Rudy Lozano High School, but I know it has a different name, right?
Yeah. I mean, we refer to it as well as Rudy, but the full name is Instituto Justice and Leadership Academy.
Yeah, so we're here in Pilsen, and I'm here with Jennifer, who's the principal here, and we're just I just wanted to come by and talk to you about some of the challenges that you guys have been facing through this COVID, as far as like with the e-learning and just all the challenges in general. So earlier today, I was over at St. Anne's Grammar School here in Pilsen as well, and I sat and talked with the principal there, and we talked about some of the issues and challenges that they face, the teachers and the students. Uh, but obviously, this is a high school, and I'm assuming like there's the challenges, although there might be a lot of similar challenges, and there are also some different ones as well. So could you just talk about like how it's been like, the adjustment you guys have to make like as a school, as a staff?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're really proud of the adjustments that we've made because it was a shock back in March that we would have to go from 100% in person to 100% virtual. And at that time, no one really knew enough about coronavirus. So in terms of CPS schools, we thought, oh yeah, we'll be back by the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
And then that, it became pretty apparent really right away that it was going to be at least until the end of the school year. So some of the models that we created in the spring COVID time, we were able to build on this year. And some of the things that I think really help is just keeping in mind that we're in a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so to try and force what would happen in a normal school year in virtual for us is just nonsensical. So,
Yeah.
we hear stories about students that, are expected to log in at their normal, start of school time, whether that's 7 a.m. or 7:30 or 8 a.m., and be online all day looking at a screen
Right.
with 4-minute passing periods or even wearing their uniforms.
Yeah.
And that's not our focus at all. So I think like right away from just being like, how can we best support students and their families during this time in a realistic way that's gonna, account for the fact that so many need to work now because we have students that are 17, 18 years old and they're the breadwinner for a very large family, or students that have children that need to now do childcare all day long, and so they're not able to for 8 hours or 6 hours manage 6 different classes or 8 different classes. So what we did was to create an interdisciplinary curriculum. So normally students would have 4 classes, but now instead of having 4 they have 2, but they're taught by a team of teachers. So for example, we have one class that's called Decolonizing Ourselves, and it's an interdisciplinary English and math class, and it looks specifically at the different forms of oppression, whether it's in the family or internalized oppression, or the oppression and the effects that it has on the community. So with everything going on now with the pandemic, it just brought awareness to people that weren't aware of this, and for those of us who were, it's even just kind of heightened the magnitude of the attention that this needs to be focused on, like the areas of health, domestic violence, resources for youth in the community, and many more. And then the other class is called Case Closed ? And that's specifically looking at the misuse of power and authority through prisons, schools, and policing. And so again, very relevant curriculum that students can engage with virtual, live, or they can engage in the lessons through our website. So we have 2 websites for each class. So for those that can't log in during the day, because again, they're doing childcare, they're working to support their family, they can watch those lessons. And we also have office hours in the evening. So for those students that are occupied during the day, they can log in at like 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. And even like we have a night owl tutoring that's from 10:30 to midnight to account for students that are, again, like busy during the day and have more availability during the evening to talk with their teachers.
Yeah, right. So something I talked about with the other principal is how there's really no precedent for this, right? So teachers and staff, they have to figure out as they go what's working and what's not working. So maybe could you give us an example of like what you guys might have tried and then didn't work, and then how you guys turned it around?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's been really helpful is that we have teacher teams. So one of the complaints that we've heard from a lot of our colleagues at different schools around the city or even around the country is just like this increased feeling of isolation. Because normally in general they say like the teaching profession, it's like you're in the room with the students and it's like that's it, and that's just not the spirit of our school. It's always been a collaborative school, but it's something that I think our collaboration has even increased more because of COVID, and we're actually like learning and building on practices that really work well. And so then we're thinking once if at any point things are back to normal, how can we, continue this level of collaboration that we've had during COVID? So every class has like 3 to 4 teachers. Because again, we have the English math teacher. We also have our learning specialist who supports diverse learners. And the other teacher team, we have our English learner specialist. And then on top of that, we have like an audiovisual specialist in any one of the classes, some student alumni who you'll meet later. So there's a lot of support, for each class. But I think one of it's more of like the mindset shift that I would think that really had to change, because it's a transition, and for us, like, this building means so much to us and this space means so much to us, and that's what really draws students to the school. It's like they walk through our walls and they know it's a safe spot. And to not have that and to try and recreate that online, it's just not the same. So I think it was almost kind of like a mourning period that we just had to get over and realize like that this is going to be a long time.
Right.
And we can't, like, from early on, we realized like we have to be planning long term and make sure that we're creating a system that's going to work and be consistent, instead of thinking that it was going to be something that was over really quickly. But we do have opportunities for students to come to school as well, because so that would be one thing that I would say that we've kind of built on this year, of offering kind of one-on-one appointments to students, whether it's to meet with our social worker or for tutoring support. Some of our students just need kind of like an in-person tutorial the first couple of times to see how to access their schedule on their email, to click on like the Zoom links and everything. And then once they've got it, some of them are like, okay, I can do this on my own now. Others prefer to come in once a week and meet with us, just to like create a space of learning, because there's so many other things like kind of going in their houses. This is still kind of a place that they can come. So
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's also another topic that we discuss, is how students, they've had to become somehow a little bit more tech savvy. Like how you said, something as easy as like minimizing a window, just how to click on a certain link to look up stuff. And not only the students, but maybe not here because the students are older, but I know like in grammar school, we talked about how the parents had to make a big adjustment. But for the people that don't know, this isn't a typical CPS high school. So could you explain how Rudy's a little bit different than your local high school?
Definitely. So we're called an options school, and it's an options charter. So CPS has option schools as well. They're also known as alternative schools, second chance schools. There's a variety of names, but basically the difference is that we can accept students up until the age of 21 years old. So we receive a lot of students who transferred from a different school, and there's a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's because the schools were pushing them out because their attendance wasn't very good, or because there was behavior concerns, sometimes because of pregnancy. There's a whole host of different reasons, but what we found is that our students are incredibly gifted and bright, and there's a reason why they didn't fit into the traditional model, and then that just brings so much like more beauty and creativity here, because they're bringing all of their experiences with them, sometimes trauma from their school experience, but then also like really appreciating and validating the space that we have, and then staying on like as alumni to continue to bring in new students and show them that there are alternative models to education. That's not a bad thing. There's no stigma attached to it. And students graduate with a regular high school diploma. So sometimes there's a misconception too that the diploma is different, but it's the same as any other CPS school.
All right. So yeah, so one thing I've noticed, because obviously I've been collaborating with you guys here for a couple years now, but how I've noticed how like you guys just make them feel like welcome and like they belong, right? Because sometimes when a young person does, for whatever reason, get kicked out of another school, you kind of know they feel like they just were told like they don't belong over there, and that's not really a good feeling to have. So you guys kind of work hard to erase that and let them know like this is their home. And I've seen you guys work, and you guys are flexible and take a different approach, where to maybe the quote unquote standard curriculum is the one that doesn't fit.
Yes.
And you guys are more flexible, and it seems like you guys adapt more to the students, and instead of the students adapting to what you guys do. At the same time, holding them accountable and teaching them like good the skills that they need to move on in whatever it is that they're going to pursue, whether it's like continuing their education or going into a trade. You guys don't discourage anything as far as like that goes. And I know there's maybe, and I don't know, this is just me speculating from the outside looking in. Sometimes I feel like high schools, they want to put that number out at the end of the year, right? Like all our students got accepted into a college. And sometimes that doesn't really mean as much as like as the follow through that you guys do here. Another thing I like about what you guys do here is how you do keep alumni involved in the school even after they're done, whether through employment or volunteer opportunities. So could you tell us a little bit about the students that we're about to meet?
Yes, definitely. So you'll meet Vanessa. She graduated in January of 2020. And since then, she's been working with us at the front desk. And so she's now the first, face that you walk in when you come into the building, and has developed like really great relationships with students. She was before COVID also kind of like our online facilitator. So she would help students that were trying to earn extra credits to graduate faster, and would kind of be helping them again like navigate the technology even before COVID of how to be able to do the credit recovery in order to still like either meet their graduation deadline or graduate sooner than expected. And then once COVID happened, she became like an even larger support of reaching out to students to make sure that again they were navigating the technology, participating in our Familia, which is like our advisory curriculum, and being our alumni coordinator. So really thanks to her, we've been able to keep in touch with the students that have been graduating, because we graduate in October, January, and March, and then June. She was like instrumental in our graduation ceremony. We had 56 graduates last year, and like all but a couple, because they had moved, were able to come and have these individualized ceremonies. And now the current project, there's so many projects, the current one that she's working in is voter registration. Because it's so important that everyone votes. And so she's calling up all of our alumni and students that will be 18 by or over by election day to make sure that they register and vote, and then understand what they're voting for, and like what the candidates are, what their policies, not just in the presidential election, but in the local legislation as well. And then we have Sebastian, who also is a recent graduate and is thinking of becoming an educator. And he's already shown like so many amazing qualities that would be perfect for teaching and teaching here, we hope. And he's been participating in all of the classes this year, working with the Decolonizing Ourselves teacher team, and participate in the teacher meetings as well to help plan curriculum, create examples for students, and also reach out to the students and make sure that they have the support that they need.
All right. Well, let's meet them. So who are we gonna meet first?
Vanessa.
So hey, Vanessa. So Jennifer just told us a little bit about what you do here and how you've been helping out. So so from your perspective, right? You've been helping out here ever since COVID happened. What are some of the like biggest challenges that you see as far as like for the students? Like what's some things that like you see that's been a struggle for some students?
So something that I think a lot of students may struggle with is online learning, because it's really difficult just staring at a computer, even if it's like for such a short amount of time. Because even I'm not currently in school, but I sometimes get tired of staring at a computer screen myself when I'm doing like my work. So I know that's something also like that person one-to-one contact is like not having that is also really difficult. Like for example, like the students that do come here once a week and do their work, I know they really enjoy that, and that's really helpful for them because they get further explanation. They can talk to someone about their answers. And it's just like something that is necessary when you're learning, I think, to just have that support system. So online learning is definitely difficult just staring at a computer where it's like a monitor instead of having someone there like telling you or helping you guide you through the assignments.
Right. I mean, the only thing I can think of that can keep a young person in front of a computer for hours is like Fortnite or Roblox or
Netflix.
you know, Netflix. But yeah, to be in front of a monitor trying to learn something for that long amount of time, it gotta be challenging. So, and how is it that like, what's your role in that? Like, what are some of the few things that you do to like help out here?
Well, something that I do to help that is I always try to check in with those couple students that I think I have a good connection with. I know other teachers connect with other students that they may have a connection with, but I try to check in like, oh, how are your assignments doing? There's a particular student that comes here like once a week very often. He comes and I sit down with him and we do his work, and if he has questions, we go over it, we read it, I rephrase it in a way that he'll understand it more, and I give him scenarios for him to make it easier for him to answer the questions, and he comes up with these answers that at the beginning, if you just leave him with his assignment, he's not gonna understand it fully. So I try to help us break it down for him as much as possible. So that kind of helps.
Well, that's awesome, and that's, I really love what you're doing, especially like young people sometimes don't realize how much influence and how much potential, how much of an impact they can make because they're so young. But I wish you guys could see like what we could see as adults. Like you guys are a major force, right? That to spread positivity, and obviously like sometimes adults only want to pay attention to like some of the negative stuff that goes on with the youth, and overlook some of the a lot of the good stuff that you guys are out here doing. So could you tell us a little bit like how you ended up here at Rudy? Like what school did you used to go to before, and what was your journey? How'd you end up getting here? And I don't know what it is, but I know Jennifer just made a face. So I don't know if it's a crazy story or not, but whatever it is, so could you just share with us?
So I used to attend Lane Tech. I was supposed to graduate in 2019. So throughout my time there, I stayed there till the end of my high school year, which was my expected graduation date from there was 2019. And I stayed my entire time there, but beginning my sophomore year, I started failing all my classes, a good amount of my classes, not all of them, but a good amount of my classes, and I was just in this dark mindset. I think I was very depressed at the time. I felt like I didn't have a support system. I can't say I really had one single staff member there that remembers me, or I think cared about me enough to check in, notice that I wasn't doing okay. My junior year there, my counselor called me into her office and she's like, why aren't you coming to your first period class? Because I literally never showed up. I would show up maybe third period to school. And I was like, I can't get up out of bed in the mornings. I found it extremely difficult to find motivation to get out of bed. I just wanted to stay in bed all day. And she's like, I told her that, and I was basically telling her I need help. And she's like, I think you should put on an alarm and wake up earlier, go to bed earlier, when completely disregarding the problem. And I think that's something with mental health issues, a lot of people don't realize what it is and the signs of it. And so she completely disregarded. There was multiple times throughout my junior and senior year where she would calm me down, and it was just the same thing. And instead of, I guess, encourage me to find help, she just told me that you're not going to graduate with your peers. Look at your peers. At one point, she had brought two of my closest friends from my high school. She brought them to her office without me knowing, and she, I guess, made an intervention, and I was extremely uncomfortable. They were basically telling me, what is wrong, Vanessa, what is wrong, telling my friends my personal information that I was not comfortable with them knowing, trying to push me to come to school, but I just couldn't. It was a very extremely difficult time. And no one was listening to me. And even at the time, it was hard for my family to understand that I wasn't okay. So, and I was missing a couple credits for me to graduate, but, and I was told that I had to take this online course online recovery class in order to graduate, and I took it, and I had to pay $75 to take that class, and I took it, and I tried so hard to finish all the work, and at the end of the day I couldn't. So it was like, oh well, you didn't graduate. And I was like, why didn't you tell me earlier? I could have done something. And all you weren't receptive of me asking for help with my mental issues. And she's like, well, you didn't graduate, so you have to repeat the year if you want to. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to be there. And luckily my aunt actually works here. She's Karina. She's a registrar. And I came here, and it was completely different. Everyone cared about me, noticed if something was off, like, Vanessa, are you okay? And it was just a whole different support system here that I never had at my other high school. So that really helped me, knowing that someone was there for me, that someone cared for me, that they knew that I wasn't okay, and then helped me, gave me advice, and it just persuaded me to want to do that for others.
Oh, that's a really powerful story. And just listening to you, to what you're doing now, helping the school, and even like you're giving back to the community, whether you realize it or not, I just applaud you. And so we're making this video to do as part of a series of virtual events. And one of the virtual events that we had was touched on mental health issues. And I had a similar situation to yours, where like I reached out for help, and I was basically like turned away because they said like, well, you don't have no history of it, so we can't give you no help. And I was like, so like, what do you want me to like go and hurt somebody? Like, I need help. How you said you were like basically asking for help, and you were basically like they didn't hear you. So so I feel you on that. And you're an inspiration to other people. You just inspired me like to keep pushing whenever I'm going through some things. But like I said, I applaud you. And however we can support you, you know, me and Jennifer, we work together closely because she cares about the community. You know, I care about the young people in the community, and my brother Pedro, that's in the room, also. So I like to surround myself with people that care about other people, because I don't think there's enough of that. And I'm glad I met you today. I'm glad I heard your story. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, man, just continue to keep doing what you're doing. Lane Tech didn't know who they were losing. And I'm so glad that you're an alumni from here, because you're going to be an inspiration to other people, and you're going to set the example for other people. Because trust me, we're not the only ones that go through things, and it's powerful to share your story like that, because it'll be it makes an impact in other people's lives. Let them know that there's nothing wrong with them for feeling a certain way. It's normal, and that we can, you know, something positive can come out of it. So thank you for sitting down with me, and thank you, and continue to do what you're doing. And again, I applaud you.
Thank you.
So how's it going, Sebastian?
Good.
So could you just share with us a little bit about, I know Jennifer touched on it a little bit, but share a little bit about what you do here at the school?
Well, at the moment, I'm a student teacher, so I shadow the teachers from the Decolonizing Ourselves class. So I participate in 4 classes.
Okay. So Jennifer mentioned that like you're interested in becoming a teacher one day?
Yes. So I want to become a teacher, more sort of like to be able to help students out throughout like their high school like years, due to the fact like through my high school years it was a hard time for myself, and that's something that not most teachers understood.
Mm-hmm. So how has the COVID, the pandemic, impacted like students that you see? Because obviously like you're shadowing a teacher, so you're seeing firsthand like what type of challenges they're having, or the way the teachers are dealing with it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, one of the issues I think that there is that not most students would be normally comfortable with welcoming people into like their own homes. Like even though it's virtually, like it's hard for them to find a like safe space for them to be able to learn.
Right, because I know over the summer we did a digital media class that was virtually, also with Edwin that works here at the school. and it was uncomfortable for them to even turn their camera on.
Yeah.
Like they wanted just to have their camera off, and it is kind of like, even like you said, how it is virtual, but you are in their home. So that's a good point you bring up. So how do the teachers that you work with, like how do they get around that, or how do they create that safe environment?
I feel like it was a talk from the beginning where like teachers are able to like recognize that it is hard for students to welcome them into their own homes and let them know like it's all right. Like if you don't feel comfortable turning on your camera or your mic, there's still other methods such as like leaving your comments in the chats, your answers in the chats.
Yeah, so just working around it on the technical side,
Yes.
right? Okay. And could you share a little bit about like how you ended up here at Rudy? Like what school were you at before?
Well, I was actually at the sister school of ours across the street, and I came to Rudy because I want to graduate early, because initially I was supposed to graduate in June of 2021, but my mom was sick throughout my high school years. She was legally blind, so it was hard for me to actually get to school and actually like be part of classes because I had to take her to her doctor's appointments. And one of the things that threw me off at the other school was that we had A-B schedule, which was like I would miss school one day of the week, and it would be like I would only go to that class one day.
So that was your one class for the whole week.
Yes.
And so so it was making you like fall behind a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, so again, this is one of the things that I appreciate about the school here, how they're able to work around certain situations. And maybe that's something that the bigger schools can learn from, right? So
Yes.
maybe be a little bit more flexible, because they're like, seems like they're so rigid in their structure, and it's like if you don't fit in here, then you don't belong here. But sometimes there's situations like yours where, I mean, it's not, you weren't missing school just because, you know, you didn't feel like coming. You actually had a serious issue at home. So I'm just, I'm so, like, I always talk about this school, you know, the work they do here. And so whenever some of the young people from here are doing positive things, it was like a pleasure for me to like highlight it. That's why I always talk about it. And I also try to provide with the work that like I do, the work that Pedro does. We also try to support however it is, whether it's like through workforce development programs, to street outreach work, even if it's something just like even helping the parents with certain issues. If it's even like something as simple as like translating a letter that they got from the city or from, you know, it feels like it's a community here.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about here. So, so thank you for sharing with us. I'm glad I met you, and now, you know, you're like part of our community, you know. So, and so you're helping Jennifer do things here at the school that are positive and impactful, and I salute you, man.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Jennifer, for letting us come here and do this. Man, your students are awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm speechless, man. So just thank you for helping create this space. I know it's not only because of you. I know your staff is awesome as well. But you are like leading the staff and the direction that this place goes in. And like I said, we've been working together for like a year now. And yeah, I mean, thank you. Again, you've helped me out with plenty of things. So I just want to again tell you just thanks for letting us come by and do this.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, I am the one that should be thanking you and Pedro for all of your support. It is beautiful, like seeing when people can work together without any type of, you know, different, you know, agendas of how much can be accomplished. And yeah, whether it's, like you said, the parents, the youth, just deconstructing, you know, some of these systems that we see oppressing our kids day in and day out. It's really powerful to have these partnerships and just continue to do this work every day.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you. See you guys later. So thank you for joining us this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys got a little bit of insight to what the educators are doing right now, navigating through this pandemic. I want to thank them again for like the awesome job they're doing. You know, I know a lot of people want to point out some of the stuff that's not working, but there's a lot of stuff that they are doing that's amazing. So again, nobody's had to go through this type of stuff in a long time, and they're figuring it out, and they're doing a great job in my opinion. And so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys appreciate our teachers a little bit more after watching this. And thank you, Gads Hill, for partnering with us to do these virtual events. Hopefully next year we'll be able to do some of these in person. And don't forget to go register to vote, and make sure you get counted for the census. So thank you again. You guys have a good evening.